I'm angry that without Picard's spinoff, Star Trek will never answer its biggest Q question. When Star Trek Picard wrapped its third season, it left us with an ending that was equal parts satisfying and maddening. We got our emotional farewell to Jean-Luc and the Next Generation crew, the promise of a new frontier aboard the rechristened USS Enterprise G, and even a cheeky post-credit scene with Q himself. But buried inside that final tease is a question so big, so tantalizing, and so integral to the very heart of Star Trek's mythology that I can't stop being angry about it. Without a Picard spinoff, we'll never truly get the answer. The question, of course, is simple. What does Q really want with humanity, and why does he keep singling out Picard and his successors? Q's unfinished trial. From the very beginning of The Next Generation, Q wasn't just a recurring antagonist. He was something much deeper, an omnipotent trickster who saw in humanity both potential and danger. In Encounter at Farpoint, Q put the entire species on trial, accusing us of being barbaric, violent, and unworthy of exploration. By the time TNG ended with all good things, Q revealed that the trial never ended. It was ongoing, stretching across time and space. That was more than just a thematic flourish. It set up Q as Star Trek's greatest narrative promise, that the exploration of the galaxy wasn't just about finding new life and civilizations, but about proving that humanity itself could evolve into something greater. But here's the problem. Picard Season 3, while brilliant, essentially dodged this arc. Season 2 gave us a dying Q, a softer and more sentimental trickster who revealed that even omnipotent beings face mortality. He helped Picard heal his own personal trauma. Beautiful. Yes. But was that really the grand conclusion to the trial of humanity that Q began in 1987? Not even close. And then, in the finale of Season 3, there he was again, standing before Jack Crusher. Alive or reborn, smirking as always, and ready to drag the next generation of humans into another chapter of his eternal cosmic games. Only, there is no next chapter. Because Paramount hasn't greenlit the Star Trek Legacy spinoff that would have continued the Enterprise G story. The big question Star Trek refuses to answer. Here's why I'm angry. Q is the question mark of Star Trek. He's not like the Borg, who represent external threats, or the Klingons, who represent cultural conflict. Q is about us. He's the mirror that asks, are you ready to grow up as a species? That's the story Star Trek promised us. And without a spinoff, it's a story Star Trek may never deliver. Jack Crusher's meeting with Q hinted at a generational shift. Just as Picard was tested in TNG, and just as Sisko had his spiritual role with the Prophets, now Jack and the younger crew of the Enterprise G were poised to face their own cosmic challenge. It wasn't about nostalgia, it was about passing the torch. What does Q want with Jack specifically? Is it the culmination of Picard's legacy, now embodied in his son? Is Q grooming Jack to prove humanity's worth in a new century? Or is it all just another test of unpredictability, one that even the Continuum doesn't fully understand? We don't know. And without a continuation, we won't know. Why this matters more than ever. Some fans might argue that we don't need every mystery solved. And normally, I'd agree. Ambiguity can be powerful. But Q is different because he has always been tied to Star Trek's central thesis about human progress. To leave his story dangling is like writing half of a sentence. Star Trek, at its best, has always asked us to imagine a future where humanity evolves past its flaws. But with Q, the franchise raised the stakes. It suggested that this evolution isn't just technological or political, but cosmic. The Q Continuum doesn't care about warp drives or replicators. They care about whether we can transcend our pettiness, our selfishness, and our violence. Without exploring that thread, Star Trek risks reducing Q to a glorified cameo machine. And that cheapens everything he's stood for since day one. The spin-off that could have fixed it, Terry Matalla's Star Trek Legacy, the dream project fans have been clamoring for, was the perfect place to continue Q's arc. Imagine an Enterprise G storyline where Jack Crusher struggles with Q's challenges, forcing him to grapple with questions of morality, leadership, and what it means to represent humanity. Picture 7 of 9, a woman who has already walked the line between humanity and something greater, serving as captain while Q weaves chaos into her crew's journey. Think about Raffi, Sidney LaForge, and the rest of the young officers being forced to prove to an all-seeing cosmic judge that their generation is worthy of exploration. It practically writes itself. And yet, it's not happening. Why? I